Are we ready?
See.
All right. So I know this is a really dense topic and there's a lot of information, and I'm so glad they brought up the Constitution, because I was going to bring up the Constitution. First off, two things. Actually, there are two laws. There are two California laws that ban open carry. The first one is AB 144, which is the one that they referred to, went into effect February 1st, 2012, bans handguns. They also have passed a second law because they noticed a little loophole that banning handguns didn't ban other types of guns. So in September of last year, they passed AB 1527, which bans long guns. So basically, even though you couldn't carry a handgun, you could still walk around with a shotgun or some kind of giant assault rifle on your back. So I'm glad they closed that. Now, the reason this law was passed was because of fears in the general public, and that has to do with the Constitution. Now, this is really dense because it has to do with the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court. But to start off, the Second Amendment does not give everybody the right to own a gun. The Second Amendment actually has a proviso in the beginning which says for, something like for a well-regulated militia. It has a little clause in front of it. Now, the Supreme Court is the one who said that everybody has the right to own a gun, not the Constitution, because it's the Supreme Court's job, as we all know, to interpret the Constitution. So in the District of Columbia versus Heller, they went around that clause, the Supreme Court, and said that everybody has the right to own a gun. Now, Justice Scalia says, like most rights, the right secured by the Second Amendment is not unlimited. It is not a right to keep and carry any weapon whatsoever in any manner whatsoever and for whatever purpose. He also went on to say, by indirectly affirming current gun control statistics, that their prohibitions for possessions of firearms or by felons or the mentally ill, those prohibitions still are in effect. Possession at schools or government buildings are still in effect, and assault rifles are kind of put under the unusual and dangerous weapons clause that he has, saying that maybe those should not be allowed anywhere either. It also affirms conditions and qualifications on the commercial sale of arms, saying that he has no problem with waiting dates, registration, anything like that, that is completely enshrined in the Constitution by way of the Supreme Court. Now, about 2 years later, McDonald versus Chicago expanded, and that same ruling then applied to states because they needed to specify that it included states. Now, he reaffirmed all of those same things that he just affirmed, that the state has the ability to regulate when, where, who gets to own a gun in public. All the Supreme Court said is you can have one at home. Now, the reason that these laws went into effect is because people, gun control advocates in California started gathering at Starbucks with handguns, and that started frightening people because when there's a soccer mom at Starbucks with her latte, she doesn't really feel safe with a guy with a handgun. So the ban was actually supported by the LA County Sheriff, Lee Baca, the California Police Chiefs Association, LA Police Chief Charlie Beck, because there were tons of 911 calls about open carry. And the police have to show up to inspect that they are open carrying in a safe manner, that it is not loaded. And so this creates a less safe environment because cops are busy off chasing respectful, law-abiding citizens instead of chasing criminals. This is not the Wild West anymore. It's completely different for California to have a ban on open carry than it is for Wyoming. There are a ton of people in California, people get freaked out. There are 6 people in Wyoming, 5 of them don't care if you have a gun. Deterrence. The idea that it's deterrence. Concealed carry, which is still legal, broadens deterrence because nobody knows who has a gun and who doesn't have a gun. I'm not going to touch that guy, he's scary, he probably has a gun. Now, oh yeah, and with concealed carry, if you do want to deter, you can reveal your gun to a criminal. That way you're not scaring the soccer mom at Starbucks. During crime, open carry makes you a target. When someone is robbing a bank and you have a gun on your holster, that criminal is going to look at you and say, I need to take control of that guy before he freaking shoots me. Where if you have a concealed weapon, they don't know you have one. So that gives you time to assess the situation and to safely take control of the situation if needs be, because law enforcement is not present. Also, the attacker can try and take your weapon if, let's say, you have a better weapon than he has. So maybe open carry is not such a good idea. Concealed weapons licenses, the concealed carry, are given by the sheriff's department or the local police, municipalities, whatever, I can't say words now, of whatever area they're in. And so yes, it is hard to get it in LA. Why? Because there are already tons of guns on the streets in LA, and there are tons of people in LA. In rural communities where there are not so many people, it's far easier to get a gun because they don't really have issues with that kind of thing. My closing statement is actually a quote from the president of the NRA when he was testifying before Congress in 1934, the NRA people. "I do not believe in the general promiscuous toting of guns. I think it should be sharply restricted and only under licenses."